At 11:20, the South Bank Show, but first, the world news this Sunday.
Austria in mourning after mountain fire disaster. Water levels still high tonight, but flood crisis eases. And Britain remembers all those who lost their lives in war.
From ITN, the ITV Weekend News with Nicholas Owen.
Good evening. British consular staff are in the Austrian ski resort of Kaprun tonight to try to find out if Britons were among the 155 people who are known to have died in the mountain train disaster. Eyewitnesses have been describing the terrifying scenes. Many are still facing an agonising wait for news of friends and relatives. From Austria, Bill Neely reports.
Kaprun is quiet tonight, almost deserted, but for a few who light candles, lay flowers and leave a village in total shock. This is what they're calling the mouth of hell, the entrance to a tunnel where up to 175 died. The rescue workers haven't even begun to recover bodies from this tunnel yet because they say there is still too much smoke in there and they don't know how toxic it is. What happened up there is the worst ski tragedy ever, and so far the authorities have no idea how it happened. All day here, the sad procession of the bereaved. So many. British skiers are believed to be among the dead.
Maybe they are British. I think they are British. I can't say all the numbers.
Among the most fortunate here, these Americans, even though 8 of their group died.
Our 4-party walked off the ill-fated tram, and others got on to let this chap tie his boot. It's that simple.
3 died at the summit. Poisonous smoke travelled 2 miles up the tunnel to kill them. The doomed train had already made more than a dozen trips up. It caught fire within a minute of its last journey. It was packed. The victims had little chance in the dark and in temperatures of 1,000 degrees centigrade. This teenager, born in Wales, knew many on board.
I know them, yes.
How many of them?
I don't know if it was just one class or if it was all 3 classes.
It's a day of mourning. An avalanche killed 12 here in the spring, but tonight there are so many dead, this village has few prayers, few words left. Bill Neely, ITN, Kaprun.
Here, emergency services are working through the night to try to strengthen defences in flooded areas. A let-up in the weather's won them valuable time, but water levels are still dangerously high in some areas. There are now 8 severe flood warnings in force, including 5 in Yorkshire and 2 in West Sussex. But the weather is improving. Only scattered showers are forecast for the next few days, which means water levels will slowly begin to fall. Terry Lloyd reports.
Emergency services are working and wading through the night to divert the floods from some of the South's most popular towns and cities. In Brighton, dried up rivers, streams and brooks have bubbled back to life, adding to the town's problems. An extra 25 million litres of water a day are pouring through. Yet, thanks to the town's huge stormwater tunnel built beneath the streets, residents are coping. This is where the extra water's being funneled out into the English Channel.
4,000 litres of floodwater are being pumped out to sea here at Brighton every second of the day, and that's been going on for an entire week. Normally the outflow would be a fraction of that.
To the west, in the county town of Chichester, another huge pumping operation's going on. 15 miles of pipework now straddle the streets and fields, transferring water from the swollen River Lavant to nearby lakes and quarries.
All of this was in place. It was put in yesterday, and we did a big pumping operation to move the water out of the River Lavant into this holding lake, and so doing that we saved Chichester from flooding.
To the north and flooded Yorkshire, where the water levels are hardly moving. Gowdall was one of the worst hit villages, and residents are still coming to terms with how it will affect them.
It could be a while, it could be a long while. 6 months at least before we'll be back in our houses, but 18 months to 2 years I've been told before they're actually dried out.
Rail and road users face more delays and diversions tomorrow. This was the scene at Howden in Yorkshire, and experts say the threat of future floods could go on for another 5 months. Terry Lloyd, ITN.
And motorists could face further disruption tomorrow as the fuel protest convoy starts moving again. Organisers say they'll continue their go slow towards London despite dwindling numbers today. Just 20 vehicles took part in the convoy. George W. Bush will find out tomorrow if his legal bid to stop a recount of votes in Florida has succeeded. Sample rechecking in one county has given Al Gore extra votes, and a manual recount's been ordered which could see the Democrats winning the presidency after all. Here's our Washington correspondent, James Mates.
The Republicans say this is not a recount but a hunt for more votes, scrutinising ballot papers rejected by the counting machines, holding them up to the light to see if a voter's intentions can be determined. They're furious this is only happening in heavily Democrat areas of Florida, where finding more votes is only likely to benefit Al Gore. The Democrats, in contrast, insist every vote should be examined, so everyone's vote will count. Gore is trying to stay above the fray, taking his family to church this morning.
Hope you all have a nice Sunday.
But his campaign aides are giving no ground in this battle to decide the presidency.
I think you're quite justified in asking for a recount by hand. Now, Sam, this is nothing we invented. This is Florida law.
The Bush team will be in court tomorrow trying to get the hand count stopped. They're repeating their offer to the Democrats, win or lose, to let the outstanding overseas votes decide it.
Well, there's some risk, I suppose, that Governor Bush could lose when those overseas ballots are counted, but he's willing to say, fine, there should be a cutoff point here.
Demonstrators for both sides have been on the streets again, increasing concern at the potential this has to divide the nation. More and more senior voices are saying one side, either side, must back down.
As one senior Republican put it, urging an early end to all this, eventually there will be a hero and there will be a president, he said, and not necessarily the same person. James Mates, ITN, Washington.
Football, Liverpool are now third in the Premiership after a convincing home win over Coventry. Chelsea drew 1-1 with Leeds. Don Riddell watched the action.
Any suggestions that Leeds would be jaded after their midweek heroics in the Champions League proved unfounded as Mark Viduka headed the Yorkshireman in front. The Australian striker is rapidly becoming the fans' favourite at Leeds, a mantle once held by Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank. The Dutchman couldn't score against his former club, but his determination did help produce Chelsea's equaliser, a header from Gustavo Poyet. There were some stunning goals at Anfield, where Liverpool moved third in the table with a 4-1 win over Coventry. Gary McAllister opened the scoring, a goal that was bettered by Coventry's David Thompson with a blistering drive. But Emil Heskey stole the headlines with two late goals, which surely guarantees him an England place for the friendly against Italy on Wednesday. Don Riddell, ITN Sport.
In Scotland, Celtic and Rangers were both in action. Scottish viewers can see highlights after this, so look away now if you don't want to know the scores. In Rugby League, Wales take on World Cup favourites Australia in the semi-final. They overcame the previously unbeaten Papua New Guinea to take the game 22-8. Finally, thousands of people gathered to remember Britain's war dead today. The royal family laid wreaths at the Cenotaph in London, including one for the Queen Mother, who was forced to miss the ceremony after she broke her collarbone. Here's Ben McCarthy.
At 11 o'clock, Britain's moment of remembrance. The King's Troop of the Royal Horse Artillery marked the end of the 2-minute silence. The Queen led the wreath-laying ceremony on the steps of the Cenotaph. The one notable absentee from the royal party was the Queen Mother, who's still recovering after breaking her collarbone. Politicians past and present were led by the Prime Minister. Then the parade of 10,000 former servicemen and women, and for the first time, 2,000 civilians from organisations which have contributed to Britain's war effort. Also relatives of British soldiers shot for cowardice during the First World War. All part of a plan by the Home Office to make the event more inclusive. Ben McCarthy, ITN.
And that's the ITV Weekend News. From me and the team here, good night. Have a good week.
Good evening. There's still a huge amount of water in the fields to run down into the rivers, and so the flood situation will be slow to improve. But as far as fresh rain is concerned, well, I think we'll get less and less of that over the next couple of days. We've had showers today because we've got low pressure close by. It's still with us tomorrow, so expect more showers tomorrow, especially in the north and west. But as we go through tomorrow into Tuesday and Wednesday, a little ridge of high pressure is going to build up from the south. That's going to keep much of Britain dry through Tuesday and Wednesday too, though this weather front will become creeping into the north and west, I think, on Wednesday, and we'll have to watch that for the second half of the week. But better weather on the whole for Tuesday and Wednesday. As far as the night's concerned, we've had a lot of showers today. They're still hanging on overnight tonight. One or two turning up almost anywhere for a while, but eastern areas I think will become mostly dry as the night wears on. Quite chilly too. Temperatures down to just 1 or 2 degrees in places, so watch out for a ground frost. And then tomorrow, some sunny spells around, certainly, especially to start the day in central eastern areas. But the showers already in the west will get a bit more widespread through the day. The northwest will have lots of showers tomorrow, and it's another cold day in the wind. Temperatures around 9 or 10.
Power Gen. Power, whatever the weather.
Next week, GMTV joins Daniela Nardini as she meets the women of Kenya trying to stop the violence and death caused by illegal arms trading in Africa.
To find out more about the plight in Kenya and how you can help, join me on GMTV next week.
Time Tees weather in association with Northern Electric and Gas.
Hello, good evening. Now, of course, we know when there's heavy rain up over the Dales, that causes problems downstream in the lowland rivers, and there's been some pretty heavy showers up there today. Sadly, tomorrow's weather chart is very similar to today's in that low pressure is the dominant feature, and that's going to feed in a lot of showers from the northwest. During tonight then, most of the showers will become confined to the Dales, the High Pennines, maybe the Cheviots up towards the borders there. But in the east, away from the hills, will be some clear starry skies developing, and here temperatures will dip to 2 Celsius, but too windy for any frost. Tomorrow, it's more of the same. The best of any sunshine will be in the east. It'll be more cloudy in the west towards the hills, where there will be some prolonged showers, the high 10 Celsius. On Tuesday, it's more of the same. More showers, mainly cloudy, a few brighter spells.
Time Tees weather in association with Northern Electric and Gas.